Oklahoma coach Lincoln Riley believes his feel for the game is as good as any of his players. One of the strengths as a play caller that he has, and really as a quarterback coach, is knowing his players' moods, their strengths, their weaknesses, what motivates them to be the kind of players they want to be. He's shown himself to be, a master communicator with 4 different starting quarterbacks in 4 different years, ranging in age and experience, in talent and maturity, in savvy on the sideline, and in front of media. So it was not difficult, or I should say it was not difficult for us to notice when Riley made the decision to pull redshirt freshman Spencer Rattler in the first half against a ranked Texas team in a must-win game for both teams. However, with Rattler struggling, he made the switch to redshirt sophomore as Tanner Mordecai, and he did it on feel. He said, quote, "I think we hadn't been in that situation a ton, but it just kind of made sense. It was kind of the right recipe. We had a couple of bad plays in a row. I thought it was the right thing to do to kind of calm Spencer down. Tanner practiced well, and he has experience, and I have a lot of confidence in him." So it made a lot of sense at the time, and I do believe it was the right thing to do. I thought Tanner did a good job. That's not always the easiest situation to just go in and just kind of knock around a little bit, go out there cold turkey, if you will. Just go straight in there. I thought he stabilized us, end quote. Mordecai completed 5 of 7 passes for 52 yards in relief of Rattler and served the purpose Riley had intended, which is a luxury. Riley hasn't had the kind of player, not at number 2 on the depth chart, he felt comfortable with in putting him into a game situation when his starter is healthy, expressly just to calm him down. When former OU quarterback Jalen Hurts struggled against Texas Christian last season, Riley stayed with Hurts, even though Hurts put on the worst passing performance of any OU quarterback at the 145 yards passing to date since, Trevor Knight did in the Russell Athletic Bowl, 103 yards passing. The move also underscores what Riley has said at the naming of Rattler and, the team's starting quarterback job to open the season. He always wanted to get more looks at Mordecai in preseason camp. The Red River rivalry gave a great opportunity to do just that. Riley said he didn't give much thought to who he was going to start at quarterback in the second half, not until halftime. He said, quote, "I never make those decisions in kind of what I'm going to do down the line. I think just kind of looking at the situation as it was, it just kind of made the most sense to put Tanner in. At halftime, I had a chance to kind of reevaluate it. Felt like the right thing to do was to get Spencer back in there. Felt like he'd handled it well and was ready to go," end quote. Now, Lincoln Riley held back for the first 25 minutes of his 30-minute weekly press conference ahead of the Sooners' 11 a.m. game against Texas Christian, at AMG Carter Stadium on Saturday. They won that game 33-14, but he knew the challenge that Texas Christian coach Gary Patterson and the Horned Frogs posed to his young team. He knows that this is the most valuable team, the most vulnerable team that he's fielded in 4 years and as head ball coach in Norman. It's just growing, he said. Again, this is so difficult to compare to any other season because the lead up to this has been so unlike anything we've ever dealt with. On top of that, and on top of the pandemic and all of that, we've just missed a lot of players that we figured we would, be playing with. And a lot of those guys are guys who have played a lot of football for us and are really good football players for us. So we've had to battle through it, end quote. In the Frogs, the Sooners face a quarterback in Max Duggan that they knew could hurt them. Could hurt him through the air and could hurt them on the ground. At Owen Field last year, dug and gashed the Sooners for 92 yards on just 12 carries, including one carry for 62 yards. By the end of the game, the Sooners looked lucky to escape with a 28-24 win. Had this been a normal year, perhaps the Sooners would be further along in their development. Such a young group, players that he thought he would have available to him. But Riley has begun to see this team gel after suffering 2 losses in 4 games, and his belief was brimming over when they entered their game against Texas Christian, and quite frankly, when he ended his media session on Monday. He said, I think a lot of things are progressing. I don't see anything that's unfixable. I don't see anything that says we can't do it. It's just you see the kind of, the top of the mountain, and you're just climbing your ass off as fast as you can to get there. And that's what we're doing right now. It's there. I know what this group is gonna be, and we want to get there quicker, end quote. Getting there quicker means cleaning up the needless penalties. It means learning how to finish the game the way the Sooners have started them. It means hanging on to the football. Getting there quicker means establishing the run early and often with an offensive line full of veteran starters. It means watching quarterback Spencer Rattler play so badly in the second quarter against Texas that he gets the hook, and then watching him come back into the game in the second half and lead OU to a 4 overtime win against the Longhorns. Getting there quicker, growing up, maturing, gaining experience on this stage at this level in front of a national television audience, it means you got to play the kind of football that led to the slogan, "There's only one Oklahoma." And now, Oklahoma true freshman Marvin Mims has become a star as Oklahoma is figuring itself out. And that star is not so much continuing to rise as it is bursting on the national stage the Sooner football program provides. In a game that featured fits and starts, even as the Sooners accounted for 498 total yards, a 300-yard passing performance from Spencer Rattler, and a 100-yard rushing performance from tailback TJ Pledger, it was Mims who made 2 plays to punctuate the game with 132 yards receiving on just 4 catches. He caught passes of 50 and 61-yard touchdowns against Gary Patterson and his Texas Christian defense in OU's 33-14 win on Saturday at Amon G. Carter Stadium. According to OU Communications, Mims' 6 receiving TDs are the most ever by any freshman through his first 5 games. That's 2 more than former OU wideouts Ryan Broyles and CeeDee Lamb. Lamb became a first-round pick by the Dallas Cowboys in this year's NFL draft, just like Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Marquise Brown did in 2019. The way Mims has played this season, he looks like a likely candidate to be selected in the first round too. Though now it's common knowledge that Mims holds the Texas high school career receiving yards record and the national single-season receiving yards record. No one thought he would be one of OU's most capable and dependable receivers in 2020. No one thought Mims would pass top catchers like Theo Weiss, Austin Stogner, and Charleston Rambo on this unprecedented, season of firsts. With sophomore receivers Jaden Hazelwood and Trajan Bridges sidelined, there was even a thought that the receiving corps might suffer setbacks through the first half of the season. But the additions of transfers Theo Howard and Obi Obialo have provided cover, along with the continued development of walk-on Drake Stoops, which led to the question, is outside receivers coach Dennis Simmons getting his due? Because since arriving in Norman in 2015, Simmons has produced a unanimous All-American and Heisman finalist in Dede Westbrook to go along with those first-round picks of Brown and Lamb at receiver. In addition to developing players like Mims, he's successfully recruited the fourth highest ranked player and highest ranked wideout in OU history during the rankings era in Hazelwood. He's demonstrated he can grow up players from every level of football, from high school to JUCO to grad transfers, and to make them better players in OU scheme as well as fit for NFL selection. And he is not slowing down. With the commitment of in-state four-star wide receiver Talyn Shettron, he's watched 3 of the top 15 wide receivers in the country in the 2022 class choose to commit to Oklahoma. One of those is 5-star Luther Burden, and he's a top 15 player overall. As OU continues to put up gargantuan numbers in the passing game and churn out yardage like a 12-year-old on the sticks playing Madden, be sure to think about Simmons and who this program is with him. Shudder at who it might be without him, because the rest of college football is taking notice. That's it for me. Deuces.